What would you do if a single decision could change lives forever? Stay with me to find out. Once upon a time, in the vibrant, bustling city of Accra, where the streets hummed with life and the markets overflowed with colors, smells, and the fells, constant chatter of traders, there lived a woman named Akosua. She was a nurse at the prestigious OSU hospital, known among her colleagues and patients for her skill, kindness, and tireless dedication. Akosua carried herself with dignity, a quiet strength that belied the modest struggles of her everyday life. Her home, a small apartment in a crowded neighborhood, was a sanctuary from the clamor of the city. The walls were adorned with family. Akosua's husband, Quain, was a civil servant, a man of principle and quiet determination. Together, they had built a simple life, one filled with love, small joys, and careful routines, yet constantly shadowed by the weight of financial strain. Their income, though honest, barely covered the essentials. At home, their challenges were hidden behind polite smiles and well-rehearsed laughter. To outsiders, they seemed like any other happy couple, but beneath the surface, each day was a careful balancing act, a battle against scarcity. Akosua often found herself lying awake at night, staring at the cracked ceiling of their bedroom, thinking about overdue bills, the rising cost of groceries, and the dream she had long postponed. Quain would occasionally ask gently if she had eaten enough during her long hospital shifts, if she needed anything. And Akosua would smile, brushing aside the worry, not wanting to burden him further. One warm evening, as the sun dipped behind the skyline and painted the city in shades of gold and crimson, Akosua was finishing her shift at the hospital. Corridors were quiet now, the day's rush fading into the soft hum of ventilators and distant footsteps. She moved with practiced precision, checking charts, ensuring that medications were administered, and whispering comforting words to frightened parents. As she prepared to leave, a man approached her, a well-dressed figure, exuding wealth and an air of authority. His polished shoes clicked against the tiled floor, his presence commanding yet unsettling. This was Mr. O.C., a businessman known not just for his immense fortune, but for the ruthless ambition with which he pursued it. "Good evening, Nurse Akosua," he said smoothly, his tone polite yet edged with something that made her uneasy. "I have a proposition for you. A simple task, a small favor, one that could change your life forever." Akosua froze, the words hanging in the air like a heavy fog. She knew of Mr. O.T. his reputation preceded him. He was a man accustomed to getting what he wanted, no matter the cost. And what he wanted now was unimaginable. His wife, had recently given birth to a daughter, yet Mr. O.C. had long desired a son to carry on his legacy. Desperate and impatient, he sought to switch their baby girl with a boy born to a family less fortunate than his own. The proposal was both shocking and morally repugnant. Yet, he promised her a sum of money that could erase the burden she and Quain bore. At least for years, Akosua's heart raced. Horror clashed with temptation in equal measure. She thought of her bills, her overdue rent, the small luxuries she had long denied herself, the security she could provide for Quain if only she could take the money and make life easier. And yet, the act he asked was unthinkable, an ethical abyss she had never imagined crossing. For hours, Akosua walked the quiet streets after her shift, the city's lights twinkling like stars in the darkness. She thought of Quain's steady hands, of his unwavering support, of the life they had tried to build together. The temptation of wealth tugged at her heart like a siren, promising escape from struggle. But every time she imagined the act itself, a wave of guilt crashed over her, leaving her breathless. But temptation, especially one so meticulously packaged, can cloud even the clearest of minds, after a night of restless thought weighing conscience. Against need, Akosua made a decision that would forever change the lives of two families. She agreed to the switch. The night of the operation arrived, cloaked in tension and moral unease. The hospital nursery was silent, the only sounds the quiet whimpers of newborns and the low hum of machinery. Shadows danced on the walls as the dim overhead lights flickered. Akosua's hand shook as she approached the crib of the baby boy born to the less fortunate family. Carefully, methodically, she lifted him, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She replaced him with Mr. OC's newborn daughter. The babies, innocent and unaware, lay in their new cradles, the course of their lives irreversibly altered. A mixture of relief and dread washed over Akosua as she handed the boy to Mr. OC. The money had been transferred into her account, the promise of financial freedom within reach. But a shadow lingered, an inescapable weight of guilt pressed upon her heart, reminding her that no amount of money could erase the wrong she had committed. Weeks turned into months. Life continued, superficially unchanged. Essie, a hardworking woman from a modest background, embraced the baby girl with immense joy. Her small home, though humble, echoed with laughter and love. But slowly, peculiarities began to surface. The child was restless, often unresponsive, and struggled to bond in the way Essie had expected. Each frown, each tear, each restless night gnawed at her maternal instinct, whispering that something was amiss. Meanwhile, Mr. OC and Yao wrestled with their new baby boy. Contrary to their expectations, the child was fussy, irritable, and did not exhibit the traits they had imagined for a son. Their dreams of shaping the perfect heir were slipping through their fingers, replaced by frustration and unease. They began consulting doctors, child psychologists, and even their household staff, desperate to understand the problem with their child. As Akosua watched from the shadows, guilt gnawed at her relentlessly. The money she had received was quickly spent on debts and necessities, but the emotional cost of her actions remained constant and unyielding. Her nights became restless, haunted by imagined confrontations, by cries of the children, by the thought of justice catching up to her. Her relationship with Quayne suffered as she withdrew into herself, burdened by the secrets she carried. She spoke less, smiled less, and avoided eye contact, leaving Quayne confused and heartbroken. Esi, however, was not one to ignore her instincts. The concern she felt for her daughter deepened into suspicion. Something was wrong. Her maternal intuition, sharpened by worry, refused to be silenced. She began an investigation, revisiting the hospital, talking to nurses and staff who might have knowledge, and following every lead with relentless persistence. Her days were filled with whispered inquiries, hidden questions, and quiet observations. Finally, the inevitable confrontation arrived. Essie approached Akosua one afternoon, her eyes blazing with a storm of desperation, anger, and heartbreak. "You've done something terrible," she demanded, her voice trembling yet resolute. "Tell me the truth. Where is my child?" Faced with the undeniable weight of her guilt, Akosua could no longer hide. Tears spilled from her eyes, mingling with shame, as she confessed the switch and explained the temptation that had driven her to act against her own conscience. She spoke of fear, need, and the momentary lapse that had cost two families so dearly. The revelation spread through Accra like wildfire. The scandal shook the community to its core. Mr. OC and Yao were humiliated. Their greed and sense of entitlement laid bare for all to see. Essie's courage earned her admiration and respect as she navigated the painful task of reclaiming her child and rebuilding trust. Akosua faced not only legal consequences, but the irrevocable damage to her career. The hospital where she had once been respected became a place of scrutiny and judgment. Yet even in the darkness, a path to redemption emerged. Akosua dedicated herself to public service and charitable work, attempting to atone for the harm she had caused. Quain, recognizing human frailty in his wife, stood by her, offering support tempered with the understanding that forgiveness was a process, not a gift freely given. Mr. O.C. and Ya, humbled and remorseful, vowed to change their ways. They used their wealth ethically, guided now by conscience rather than desire. Essie rebuilt her life alongside her daughter, finding peace in the restoration of what had been lost and joy in the bond they shared. The story of Akosua and the baby switch became a cautionary tale across Accra, a story whispered in markets, homes, and hospital corridors alike. It reminded all who heard it of the dangers of greed, the importance of integrity, and the power of redemption. Trust, morality, and the meaning of family were lessons hard-learned, yet forever etched in the hearts of those involved. Despite upheaval and suffering, life continued. The families, forever changed, learned that even in the wake of betrayal, forgiveness and growth were possible, and that the human spirit, though fallible, could rise anew. And so, in the bustling city of Accra, the tale of greed, guilt, and redemption echoed through the streets, a story of warning and hope. Once upon a time, a single decision had shifted lives forever, but it was through courage, accountability, and the pursuit of good that hearts were mended and lives reclaimed. Remember, one choice can change many lives. Choose wisely, act with integrity, and always seek to do good. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe for more powerful life lessons. Moral of the story: greed may promise wealth, but only integrity and courage create a legacy that lasts.